Welcome to Around the Board, a show where four board game enthusiasts discuss board game topics and news. Today's show begins with a great game debate about Great Western Trail. After that, we'll bring a game back we haven't done in a while called Random Task. Player turn length is in queue next. We'll talk about that and finish up with a good old classic game of Play Shelf Trade. So right now, folks, why don't you saddle up and get ready here? We got a heck of a show for you. It's time for Around the Board. I'm your host, Andy Barnett. With me, as always, Daniel Connors, John Theismann, and Chris Thomason. Howdy, y'all.
Howdy.
Yee!
I felt like I was doing the Gangnam Style, and also like I was like stripping. But
Whoa,
I feel like that was cowboys, but I don't know. I don't know my cowboys.
I think you have a different type of cowboy in mind.
That sounds like a
everybody.
midnight cowboy kind of thing.
Yes, sir.
Well, I had to do research on how to dress, and that's what I looked at. So did I pull it off?
Pretty well.
It sounds like you're
like-
trying to.
You are
kinda
what
look
we
like-
call a dude. You're a dude.
You kind of look like Marty McFly's older relative. in Back to
Yeah,
the Future 3.
yeah.
Ah, from part 3.
That's it.
Correct.
Yes,
That's
sir.
right.
Nice. That's what I was going for. Marty
That's
McFly
what-
specifically.
Well, then you did it.
Can I do this, fellas? This is going to drive Daniel nuts, but I found a little soundtrack for us for this.
Oh boy.
I
What
feel
is
like we
that?
should be going on.
Rolling, rolling, though the streams are swollen, keep them doggies rolling, rawhide.
All
Yes,
right.
sir.
Rain and wind and
Anyway,
Very nice.
Gotta like rawhide.
absolutely. Gotta love some rawhide.
Rawhide. Are we back
Hey.
to the strippers?
God,
What?
What is up with you today?
What?
My gosh.
This is a family
Sorry.
show, Daniel.
Sorry.
What the
Sorry.
crap? Hey, question for you guys. Did
Yeah.
you ever try and dress in Western or country attire in real life ever? Do you ever go through a fad where you did that in your life?
Oh, I don't know about that, but I mean, dressed up to go to like a hoedown or something for some special party. But no, nothing. I tried to
So I got a
pull
story.
off all the time.
I'll make it quick.
Okay.
But in those early teen years when you're really questioning who you are a little bit, your identity you're going through, who am I going to relate with?
Mhm.
Well, for me, it was a little weird because I was going to different schools. I went to a smaller private school, but then I was thrust into going to public school for my freshman year of high school. And I was trying to figure out who to fit in with. I was kind of, I was new to the school. And my older cousin embarrassed me. He told me, he said, you know what's really cool? You should dress country. I was like, I don't know, man. That's not really
Awesome.
my thing. And so he got me to wear some tight jeans and a button-up shirt, and I had this bolo tie, and I wore this bolo tie, and he was like,
Whoa.
wear that, man. You'll look cool.
you
Oh
go.
my gosh.
I wore that to
Wow.
school one day, and people looked at me like, who are you?
Oh my gosh.
And never did it again.
Really?
Was that your first day of school?
No, fortunately not. But I attribute this to the fact that also my cousin's from Arkansas. So
There you go. See, it is
okay.
cool there. Yep.
maybe
Yeah.
it is.
You'd have been
honestly,
rocking
I-
it, man.
I think you've been fine. I think the bolo tie was the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a bit much, huh?
Yeah, that
Absolutely.
was the issue.
Wasn't
Yeah,
that kind of the thing back in the 90s, though? Was this the 90s when you were doing
This
this?
was the
Well,
90s, man.
Yeah.
well, not
ties
bolo
were big.
ties, but yeah, we live in Kansas, so yeah, it wasn't uncommon for people to dress up a little Western, even if you lived in the city.
Yeah.
But yeah, not the bolo tie. That that was a step too far.
It was a one-time thing for me. So never attempted that again. Went back to t-shirts and baggy shorts.
There you
I
go.
was hoping to have that you'd be wearing a bolo tie today.
Oh.
Yeah.
Couldn't find it, my friend.
retired it.
Find it.
You retired it.
I did.
Hey, well, speaking of things that were retired, I
Yes.
heard that Hansa's been missing for a while. Did he retire?
Hansa, who's that?
I don't think
Our
so.
correspondent on the field.
I think he's been doing some hard research for
He
some
probably- yeah,
comments.
he's a long
You think-
form.
Has he found some more comments that
That's the
exist
rumor.
out there in the wild?
I heard
I
he
don't
had.
know. Should we check in on him?
Let's do.
Yeah. Hansa,
Hansa.
are you there?
Oh, yes, I'm here. Hello. And
Nice.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year
Happy Year to you,
Hansa.
Hansa.
A little
Yeah,
late,
no-
but thank you.
I mean, I haven't seen you since last year, so yeah, I thought maybe you guys forgot about me. I mean, I've been sitting here for a long time.
Oh,
I
we'd
think you
never-
might have.
Oh,
You've
Never
been a
forget
little
about
busy.
you.
Right.
You're one
Hashtag
in a-
never forget.
1 in a million, Hansa.
Well, thank you. Well, I have some good comments today.
Oh, nice.
Are you
Well,
ready?
please,
All right.
let's hear it.
All right. Well, this is from episode 15. This comment comes from Liston 1. Dear Around the Board, I agree with Daniel and Chris on Wonderland's War. A bunch of random stuff added to make it more complex, not fun, and is such an intelligent and unintuitive way. See, look it, I found a comment that agreed with Daniel and Chris. Ha, see, I don't hate Daniel, but I have another one.
Hansa,
yes.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to argue with this guy, and I kind of want to argue with you in place of this guy. Can I fight you, Hansa?
Well, it makes sense that Hansa would agree with this guy because it's it's takes a little shine off of his game if you like Wonderland's War. So
it's true.
Well, I must admit, it is a little flashy for my likings,
Yes.
but here's another one that might make you happy, Andy. This is from Dio Myri. I don't think that's a real name. Dear Around the Board, it sounds like Wonderland's Wars was played wrong. A lot of arguments didn't appear to fit the game. At least Andy said some stuff right after Chris made his statements.
Well,
So there you go, gentlemen. Thank you for having us back on the show.
All right, Hansa.
Thank you, Hansa.
Get back
Keep
to
up the
work.
good work, buddy. Yeah.
Hey, so I want to comment. I want to reply to that last comment, and I'm gonna probably agree with them because, see, unlike Chris, I've actually played Wonderland's War 5 times now. Chris played it 2/3 of a game. He didn't even finish a game, so you can't comment on it. You played it late at night, and you played half a game, and you're an idiot.
Yeah. Well, what I will say is that I played 2/3 of a game, but I knew at that point I didn't need to play it anymore because it was explained in the most elegant and perfect description and explanation of a game of all time. So the person who did that, they're just the best ever. And, I was like, well, if this is the pinnacle of this game, it's still trash. So I don't need to play it anymore. So
To stand up for Chris a little bit, there are many I've walked out on games where I knew this ain't happening. And I think I might mention it at Gen Con that happened one time where I'm playing God, what was the name of that game? I can't remember. Epoch. If you've ever played that game, Epoch. Oh my gosh. The teach was one thing. Okay, it sounds overly complicated for no reason. Then you're playing it. This is way overly complicated for no reason and not fun. Oh, wait, I got a phone call. Made up a phone call when I was out there.
Wow.
I got to go, guys. Sorry. Keep playing without me.
Sorry, I'm sorry I called you an idiot, Chris.
Oh, it's okay. I'm sorry I insinuated that you actually can teach games well.
That's okay. I think there needs to be a little context, a little pre-life for the people out there that don't understand. We're dressed as Western dudes here a little bit, and Chris and I almost had a duel earlier. I mean, he threatened me. He was like,
almost
"You talk to me like that again, boy.
Yep.
I'm walking off the show. I'm going to shoot you right in the face."
That's not untrue. That's true.
Well, why are we dressed like this?
Well, I think that's because we're going to have some fun stuff to talk about, and it all revolves around some great theming from the Old West. So should we get right into game 1?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's time, ladies and gentlemen. Time for what? What? Say what?
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
Yes, it is indeed. Yeehaw! It's time to play Around the Board, debating different topics within tabletop gaming. We do that in 4 unique segments, each hosted by one of us. A behind-the-scenes judge will award points at the end of the show. Whoever has the most points, well, they get to sit around and kick the tires and chew on some cud?
Tobacco.
Tobacco.
Smoke the wacky tobacco? No. Well, technically it's legal in Missouri. So
And
anyway,
in the Old West.
And in the Old West.
And in the Old West, that's right. So, let's get to it. Game 1.
Round 1. Fight!
Our first game is going to be the Great Game Debate. This is where we like to look at a game that has stood the test of time and has been determined by the community at large that it is a great game. But do the 4 of us believe it's a great game? So today we're going to be talking about Great Western Trail, and we're going to cut away for a moment for an explanation.
In Great Western Trail, you're a rancher traveling from Texas to Kansas City in hopes to deliver the best herd of cattle. On your turn of Great Western Trail, you will move your guy 1 to 3 spaces. A space is consisted of a building. The game starts off with 7 buildings that anybody can use. But as the game progresses, you'll be able to build buildings of your own. These buildings will give you additional places to visit, additional actions to take, and also give you the option to block your opponents from also placing desired actions or breaking up a combo. When you land on one of the action spaces, you can do one or both actions. The locations you visit will help you do a couple things. You can visit the cattle market, improving your deck of cards. You can visit the job market, hiring new people to work for you, making your actions later in the game better. Or you can advance your train down the railroad. When you arrive in Kansas City, you will put out new hazards, you'll put out new workers, and then you can choose to put out a hazard or a worker or whatever is in that area. Here is where you'll sell back your cattle. Then you have the option to deliver your cattle up to the distance of your train. For each X that you pass, you do have to pay 1 additional money. So if you're in Wichita, you need to pay 1, 2, 3 more money to get to Santa Fe. When you deliver the cattle and decide which city you want to drop your cattle off, you're going to take your personal player board and take one of these discs to place it on the city that you just delivered cattle. This is going to unlock abilities in the game to take better actions or new actions. At the end of the game, you're going to score the victory points for the buildings you have in place, for the hazards that you have cleared. You'll gain victory points for the locations that your trains have visited. You will also gain victory points for the cows that you have in your deck. And that is how you play Great Western Trail.
Thank you, Daniel, for that excellent explanation of Great Western Trail.
Well, thank you. All right. So as per our new rules, I'm going to start. So my feelings on Great Western Trail. We played it the other night just to get a nice refresher, and I'm glad we did. I've really enjoyed Great Western Trail over the years, but yesterday's gameplay of it was kind of a reminder about how solid this game is. And the more you play it, the more you can appreciate it. It's a really fun, a lot of the stuff that you get to do is pretty exciting in it. You get to hire individuals, you get to build buildings, and you also get to advance your train. So all 3 of these things are kind of like from different game mechanisms, I guess, but they're all kind of smashed into this one game, which makes it for a really good, exciting experience. So on your turn, when you're running around each location, you get to decide, are you going to pass some of these locations? Because maybe you don't care about advancing your train very much, or maybe you want to build up a better hand of cattle, so that you're deck building more, or maybe you're going to build up your tableau as you're hiring more people. So the vast amount of things that you get to do and how diverse it is every time makes this game really exciting and makes it continually be something that's worth exploring. The game I played, I think there was 4 of us, and we all were within 5 points of each other, except for the person who won, but which was Laura Evans, our friend. And but we all took different paths. Any games that allow you to take different paths and still end up with about the same winning ratio or come close to it, to me, is a game that really shines, and I can always appreciate that. So that was my take on it. I think John might be a little more contrary to this. So, John, how do you feel?
Well, thank you, Daniel. And I was getting ready to sink my teeth into this segment because and you may not know it, but I am a Western game aficionado. I'm doing a series right now that's going to be coming up on the YouTube channel where it's called Clear My KLAX, where I'm going through all my KLAX and seeing what games I need to get rid of. Good percentage of them are Western themed games because it's just something that calls out to me, what have you. And I was like that. And so I was busting my chops trying to get this game played back in the day when it first came out. And then I finally get it played. And maybe it was the explanation. I don't know. I've said this all along, that it was just explained to me mechanically. This is what you do. This is what you do. This is what you do. And I couldn't end that game quick enough. I'm like, this game is just ridiculous. It's just a mishmash of garbage, and I don't even know what's going on. And later on, I'm talking to Daniel about, you didn't like herding your cattle onto the train and send them? I had no idea that's what I was doing. I had cows in my hand. Is that what I'm doing with them? I don't know. I know I have to have them. I had no idea that's what the theme of the game was. And after playing it again, to re-energize my hatred for it, I kind of almost fell in love with it. So I got to kind of change my tune a little bit because it was a fun time. I had a great time playing it the other day. I'm glad I had to play it for this show because I did enjoy my play. However, I still don't think it's the great game everybody says it is. It still gets a little tedious and monotonous because you are kind of doing the same thing over and over again. Maybe a little bit of variations because you're like, well, I'm going to save money, not move my train so I can hire more people, or I can buy the better cattle because I'm going to be buying them pretty soon. And I understand that'll change up each time too. But during the game, it's going to kind of stay about the same. The hazards along the way are going to change, but other than that, but if you don't have money to pay for the hazards, you don't have to pay for them. So that's another thing. Another way to look at it is, hey, just blow through your money because then you don't have to pay for the hazards. But overall, I got to say it is a good game, but it's a good themeless type Euro game. It still doesn't have that theme where you feel like you're doing what it says you're doing, but it was a lot better than the first time I played it. So maybe it's in the teach. Have somebody that loves the game teach it to you and can teach it well.
I think
John,
it's
you're ridiculous.
It's just because you played with me. That's why.
Maybe that's it.
You are ridiculous. This game is
turn,
all
Andy?
about cows. No, but we have a little moment here to chew each other out. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to chew you out right now.
I like the fact that this game is from Kansas and we're from Kansas, so we should innately like it.
Exactly.
I thought you would appreciate that theme of it at least, John. So
because
I'm glad at least you
Kansas
turned the
City
corner
is
on
there.
it.
That's
I'll get to it when it's my turn, but the whole thing is you're collecting cows and you're moving them along. I mean, how can you say it's not thematic? The whole thing is thematic.
All right. Well, you sit on that for a little bit longer there, Andy. Let's hear from Chris.
All right. Yeah. So I will say though, thematically, I'm not sure I actually enjoy the theme, mostly because it just reinforces the only thing that historically people have come to Kansas City for was to drop their cows off, and I'm not super happy about that. But regardless, we're changing that narrative recently with some national titles with the Chiefs and the Royals. So, anyways, regardless, back to what matters. So I have an interesting situation with this game and history with this game. I've only played it twice technically, and the first time I played it, it wasn't a great session. I kind of came away with it like, yeah, it's fine, it's okay. I see why people love it, but I didn't really like it. Now, granted, that play didn't go very well. In fact, it's a very kind of funny known history situation about me and that game in our play group because I played it with some people at our local gaming night. And this one person we were playing with, they just couldn't get past exactly what the rules are. They don't understand the idea of like, oh, we'll just play it this way and move on and figure it out after the game and play it right next time if we need to. It has to be right the first time every time. Eventually, I got so tired and annoyed that I told them that I was like, well, I'm so glad that you got the training that you need to pass the bar exam for a rules lawyer. And that was kind of interesting. But anyway, so the first play didn't go very well. I played it again recently with some friends of ours that really like the game, the Evans, like we've talked about many times before, and I really liked it. I came away understanding what the real rave about it was, and like in most games, right? Like in most every game, there's some amount of engine building, right? Like some are more than others, but there's very few games you don't have some sort of engine that you're building, right? But this one, I really enjoyed the way it works. Like not only are you you're kind of building your deck of hands of cards of the cows and taking them to Kansas City, but like you're building these buildings along the way that you're interacting with along the way that are kind of filtering and adjusting and doing things with your deck. So it's not just, draw cards, play them, draw more like in Dominion. You're actually drawing some, and then you're going to your building and you're going to sell a couple cows and get another card and this and that. And so you're trying to, manipulate them as you go. And I don't know, like it's the train situation part at the top is okay. That's all right. It doesn't really flip my lid too much, but it's a fine mechanic. But the normal movement from point A to point B of drawing your cards and manipulating and filtering your deck as you get to Kansas City, I really like. So and the theme,
I really like that.
There. I'm not much for theme, but it is certainly there too.
I like that you brought up the engine building of it. I think this game is engine building, but in like several different ways, because you got engine building for your people, you got for your hand, and for your buildings that you're placing on your board.
Which is a great point to segue into my point, which is my turn now. So, hello. Hi there. Yes.
How are you doing, Andy?
Howdy.
Didn't you just say we have this time?
I thought we did.
Yeah, the rules all binge around my
Andy has that
whatever. And now my time's running out. Okay.
Andy knows what he wants to say, and he has to say it now.
I do. I have no impulse control at all. So listen, this game, you guys, I guess I'm pleasantly surprised that you guys all seem to like the game, at least in your second or third go around with it. I liked it from the very beginning. I love this game. And the reason I love it is because I feel like there are so many unique ways to play this game. There are ways I have not tried to win yet. So for instance, there are so many buildings and I have not really even utilized the buildings. I tend to default to doing the cow thing and building up the cowboys, but you can focus on building up your buildings and do all kinds of cool stuff. You can focus on moving the train along and do some cool stuff. There's just different paths to victory, and that's the sign of a great game. And the other thing is there is a little bit of take that. There's a little bit of laying traps for people and trying to make people do things. And I do enjoy that. You can also kind of watch what they're doing and you can move along faster and hurry the end of the game up. I really, really like this game. It's got a deck building element to it that's a lot of fun with the cows. I will say the very first few times we played it, we actually played it wrong. We didn't discard our hands and refill our hands to 5 new ones. So we kept going. I think that's what we did.
Oh, when you sold them at the end of when you sold them at Kansas City, you didn't discard them?
No, we discarded them, but we didn't refill to 5.
Oh.
Yeah, no, like if you sold the cow on one of the buildings, we didn't draw back up.
Yeah, that's what it was.
4 cows now, or 3 cows.
Which surprisingly was actually still a fun game, but it was not the right way to play the game.
Yeah.
And it's a lot better when you play it the right way. But it's just a great game. I really don't have any problems with it whatsoever. And I think it's incredibly thematic, John. I mean, you've got different types of cows. You've got different types of buildings. You've got to fight off traps and get across the landscape and deal with the outlaws and different stuff. And it's a fascinating game. And again, as was mentioned, it's we live in the Kansas City area, and it mentions Kansas City. We've got friends in Topeka. It mentions Topeka. It mentions Wichita. It's got all these different cities that we have friends in. So, it is, if any game should be a good game for us, it should be this game. And by the way, Kansas City known as a cow town. Yes, you missed a really good point there, Chris. It's known for its steak, and it's still known for its steak. And I have no shame in saying that you can find some fine beef in Kansas City.
Okay, are you talking about just steak as a whole, or are you talking about the Kansas City Strip specifically?
Well, the Kansas City Strip is a cut, but just steak as a whole, because you got the stockyards. That's down where Kemper Arena was and everything. The West Bottoms. It was known
that was
for
people dropping their cows off. That's what I'm talking about.
It was people dropping their cows off, but because of that, a lot of steak places came to be, and it's one of the premier places in the world to get a good steak.
So I'm assuming you love Mahomes and you eat like a child, Andy, that you put ketchup on your steak. Is that true?
Ooh,
that is, I do eat like a child often, but no, I do not put ketchup on my steak. In fact, I live by this motto. It may sound a little arrogant, but my motto is, if it's cooked right, it shouldn't need any kind of sauce.
There you go. That's
if it's a good cut too. If it's not a good cut, sometimes
that's true.
How it's cooked.
All right. Well, this isn't a food podcast, so we're going to move on. You guys, we really enjoyed this overall. I'm glad we turned John from his hatred of this game to at least a mild like.
I wanted to unload so much vitriol on this game, and now I just can't.
I know. I was actually, the response
so disappointed that I liked
playing that game was, man, I wish you never played this again. I was waiting for you to just unload on it. Because we always try to pick a game that we are divided on so that we're not a bunch of yes men. So when this one came up, we're like, oh yeah, we definitely have to play this one because John thinks it's the worst game that's ever made, on par with Wonderland's War and how Chris felt. So, but just like that, John got his, the tide turned. So
it turned my rugged heart.
I actually want to say, like, that first play, like, made it to me where I was like, okay, again, like I said, like, I appreciate it. I can see why people like it. It's not for me though, right?
Yeah.
That's after that second play. Not only am I never going to say no to play it, I'm actually going to be like fairly excited to. I may not still like suggest it ever, but I'm going to be like, oh, you want to play that? Okay, sweet, let's do that. Right.
Funny thing is, during the reteach when we played it the other day, I was getting that old feeling again. The first time I played it, I'm like, what did I get myself into? Why did I agree to play this again? And then, like 3 turns in, I'm like, I kind of like this game. This is all right. So,
I think there's 2 takeaways. One is, if you played this game once and you didn't like it, you should give it another try. Yes. And 2, you should play it with the Evans, because I think that's the
that's a common denominator there.
So hunt down Ryan and Laura Evans, Kansas, and come in.
Their address is
we're gonna have their phone numbers right down here.
And you love this game. Well, that's enough, guys. So if you've ever played Great Western Trail, leave a comment. Let us know your thoughts on Great Western Trail, and of course, if you would send us a like and subscribe, we would really appreciate it.
Round 2. Fight!
Random task. Show them what you do.
Yes, today is this our third installment of Random Task, I believe?
I think so.
It's been a while since we've had Random Task. And for those of you that don't know, Random Task is when one of us, this time it's going to be me, assigns all of us to come up with a game out of their collection, not just pick one randomly that they've heard of, but one that they can actually grab out of their collection that meets a certain category. Then we'll all discuss the game that we grabbed at random. And Randy, the producer, is going to award us points for the best example of said game. And today, because some people correctly or incorrectly categorize Great Western Trail as a rondel, it's a slight rondel, I guess. We're going to have
a stretch, but
yes, it's a stretch. We're going to have a competition today. Everybody is going to, on the count of 3, get up and grab a rondel game from their collection. And then we will all discuss them and see who did it better. All right. So 3, 2, 1, grab a rondel. Everybody get their game?
I don't want to show it.
Oh, I don't see Chris.
I think Chris died.
I don't see Chris. Well, while we're waiting for Chris, for those of you who don't know what a rondel is.
I've got it, John. I've got it right here.
Okay. My bad.
Had to find it.
This is the rondels.
Wow. Wow, that's Western. How did we
How did we get a Western rondel song? Well, for those of you who don't know what a rondel is, usually it means that you have the ability to move a certain distance, usually an unlimited distance, along a path and take whatever action you land on, foregoing the actions behind you and leaving those for other people. The way I understand a rondel is, usually it means those people behind you get to keep moving until they pass you up because only the person that's in last place moves. That's the classic rondel. That's not the kind of rondel there is in Great Western Trail where you're just passing things up. You'll do them on another turn. But so it's you're not giving anyone more actions when you pass them up, unlike a true rondel. But so that's what a rondel is.
I'm going to disagree with you, but I'll show you what my disagreement is on my pick.
Yeah, hold your tongue, son, like you like to say. So I'll go first. My example of a rondel is Kraftwagen, or as in it's said in its proper German, Kraftwagen, as you can see there. And it's a really cool game about the beginning of the auto industry in Europe. And the rondel is really cool in it, where it's a classic rondel. You take an action, that action picks up and actually moves somewhere else when you take it. And it features really cool things like all these cool early designers of automobiles. There's who is that guy? Gottlieb Daimler. If you've heard of Daimler, surely you have. And then Willem Maybach from the famous Maybach car series. And you can build actual cars. Like here is another Daimler you can build. And they can, as the game goes on, they get more and more technically advanced. Where here you go. Here's a later Bugatti. Remember we mentioned a Bugatti on the show before.
Hey, I've heard of that one.
And here's a Mercedes. So it's really cool. I mean, you invest in different ways to produce. You can try to meet different requirements of different customers. You can emphasis on safety, performance, what have you. And so it's a really cool economic type game with the rondel. And it's really thematic because it's also just like in the auto industry, you can't ignore the performance. Like there's a racetrack where you actually move your little cars around a racetrack during the game. So that kind of gauges how far you are in the performance category. And so kind of like how automobile, giants now, they put their stuff in NASCAR or whatever to promote them. You're promoting them that way. So really cool game. But that I haven't played. But it looks really cool. All right. That's what I've got is Kraftwagen. Chris, what do you got, buddy?
All right. For me, with you saying, you talking about a racetrack, I don't know why I didn't think of Formula Day. You go around in a circle. That's a rondel, right?
There you go. No. Should be. By Daniel's,
all right. So
by Daniel's explanation.
That's not a rondel, but you know what is, people? Lupin Louie. That's the back of the box. Lupin Louie. It's a rondel because you got actually the back of the box will be helpful. You get to see these beautiful children here. It's you got their little I don't know what you would call it, like your little like a flipper thing that you have, and the guy in the crop dusting plane goes by and you try to flip it, make sure he doesn't hit your chickens. It's a rondel because it goes around in circles. And I don't have, I'm gonna be honest, I don't really have any Rondel games. I don't hate them, I just don't own any. So the best one I could find in the amount of time I was given was Loopin' Louie. And
there you go. Hey, once you skip those chickens, you can't get them till next time around. So
that's right, exactly.
Right.
That's correct. And he doesn't go backwards. He can
not at all.
like every Rondel. So
Go back.
seems legit.
Yeah. And since you brought up Loopin' Louie, I got to mention when we did our 24 days of Christmas, guys, his Loopin' Louie went viral. I mean, it was 1,000 views, but for us, that's huge.
That's huge.
Right.
Apparently, we struck gold with Loopin' Louie. Maybe we'll do it again.
For the longest time, it was the highest viewed video that we had without and it was like by a large margin.
By multiple times. Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed, John, or Chris, that you didn't go with the alternative version of that, though, which is Loopin' Chewie, the Star Wars version.
Well, I got to be on brand. Old man, original edition.
Loopin' Louie has 4. Chewie only has 3. So there is a case to say that Loopin' Louie is better.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Well, Andy, what do you got, buddy? Are you going to do Loopin' Chewie for yours?
I'm not going to do Loopin' Chewie, although it is a fantastic game, and I love the Star Wars theme. On the other hand, when it comes to rondels, by the way, Great Western Trail is a rondel. It's just not a complete accurate circle. It is still a round. It's just a funny looking circle. The best rondel game I'm going to give you is not only the best rondel game, it is, in my opinion, the best game that I've played. I think it's number 1 on my list according to my latest rankings, and that game would be Heaven and Ale. Heaven and Ale is a game. Now, when I do my rankings, because I just did this the other night, a little spoiler alert, we're going to be doing something on our Facebook group that you can get into and be a part of, where we do this March Madness of board games. And so I was asked to do one of the brackets, so I had to come up with my top 20 games. But this one is the one that won. When I did that, I used another little shout out to somebody. I used a little ranking engine called PubMeeple. If you haven't heard of PubMeeple.com, you should check it out. It lets you rank your games head to head. But I did that. This is what came out on top. Whenever I hear the game Heaven and Ale mentioned, I have never once had a bad taste in my mouth. I've always like, yeah, I'd play that. That sounds great. Let's play that. And I've probably played it 30, 40 times. I love this game. It is a game. The theme is, nothing that really speaks to me, but I love the mechanics. The theme is you are monks brewing beer. Monks brewing beer, and you have to increase your ingredients, which are going to be hops and yeast and water and wood and something else. But anyway, regardless, I love how tight this game is. This is a game that is super tight. The choices are hard. It is a rondel. You can jump ahead as far as you want to grab the tile you need, but you can never go back. So it's always a push your luck. Do I wait and do this? And also on that rondel is the chance to score points, and you can only score those points in certain categories once throughout the entire game. And your tendency is to push your luck and try and make those scores as good as possible. But if you wait too long, there won't be enough scoring spaces left, and you won't be able to score them. It's such a good game, guys. Highly recommend Heaven and Ale. Best rondel game, best game.
I agree with you, Andy. It's really good, but I don't think your wife agrees with you.
Yeah, she doesn't like stressful games, and this is a stressful game. This is a tense game, but I love it. Oh, it gives me the feels.
I agree with you too. You do like that game. Daniel, what do you got for us, buddy?
Now I'm torn. I was pretty convinced that Andy was going to pick the one I really wanted to do, so I went with my backup. So let's just put it this way: a rondel. I'm going to say what mine was that I thought Andy was going to pick, and I thought he was going to pick Glenmore 2,
as we all do.
But I really enjoyed this game. You're building, you're going around a board and picking up tiles, and you're placing them down on your board. Then you have to move a meeple onto it, and then you get to activate all the surrounding tiles. So as your board moves out, you stop activating previous tiles, so you each tile will only activate so many times. But this is a really interesting one. It also comes with a lot of different chronicles, so it's built-in expansion, so you always put 2 in, so the game is versatile and it's really exciting. But that's not the game I picked. The game I picked
still won't, even though it's the one he would have picked if Andy didn't take the one that he thought he would take.
You voted for it before you voted against it.
That's right. So I went with the more untraditional rondel. So a lot of people would say Concordia is a rondel because you have a hand of cards. You're building your cards, you're playing them out, and then you pick them back up. So it's like going around in a circle in an action. Well, what else game does that? This game right here, Gloomhaven. You have a hand
my
of
God.
10 cards. You play 2 at a
Where's the
time.
boo?
You have to keep moving through your abilities. And then at the end of a round, you have to trash one of those because you always have to get rid
trash?
of one that you played. You can also stop prematurely, trashing one of the cards you've played before and picking up what you've already played. So while this is a dungeon crawl and there's no actual like rotation around a board, it's still a phenomenal Rondel game that is really puzzly and always ends in a good time. Gloomhaven.
Daniel, thank you for outdoing Daniel or Andy on picking a game that has no connection to the theme that we're looking for.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that's almost
That's
just
bad.
wrong.
That's
Oh.
too bad.
I mean,
like Lupin Louie was a joke, but it legitimately,
more of a
without a
Rondel.
question, is more of a Rondel than
Hey.
Gloomhaven.
Hey, look it out there. If Concordia is a Rondel, and I believe it's mentioned as a Rondel on Board Game Geek, then that means Gloomhaven's a Rondel. Prove,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
prove me
That's-
wrong.
but the-
Change my mind.
I love me some BGG, but I'm spoilers. It's fallible. It
But we'll
can
see.
be
We'll
wrong.
see what Randy says. Randy's the referee, right?
Oh man.
All right,
yeah,
Randy.
That's
I will
terrible,
say-
Daniel.
I will say, I know that Randy would agree with me that Gloomhaven is one of the better games, but I understand.
That's why you picked it.
I understand if he doesn't
Sucking
pick
up to
it
the
for a
judge.
Rondel game. So
All right, now we're going to defer to Randy, the producer of our show. He is going to judge who came in first, second, and third place. We're going to get 3, 2, and 1 points respectively. So, Randy, lay it on us. Who was third place?
That would be Chris.
Oh, did he get the point? There
yeah,
go,
you got the
Chris.
point.
Okay,
All
let's bring the
right.
room for the rest of us. All right. And now for the silver medal, Randy. Who's getting number 2?
Andy.
All right.
Hey,
All right.
first place is still up for grabs. Oh my
It's
gosh.
between
If it's
me and you,
Gloomhaven,
John.
I might walk off this set right now. First place, Randy. What do we got?
Yeah,
Oh, no!
there it
That's
is.
ridiculous. No,
Kraftwagen, baby.
no,
A true Rondel.
it is a Rondel. I'm right. I'm offended. And just like Random Task, I'm going to throw this hat. God.
Well,
I think Random Task throws his shoe, doesn't he?
yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Yes,
But
that is correct.
if you like to throw things, leave a comment down below. And also, if your name's Rondel and you have a question about what a Rondel game is, leave that question down below. Or if you have a favorite Rondel game you want to share, then partner, put it in there in the comments. But now we're going to take a little break and we're going to announce the winner of our contest, correct? Is that what we're going to do,
Yeah.
guys? All
We
right.
got that coming up next. So
And then we'll come
stand
right
by.
back with the rest of the show.
We'll see you on down the trail.
Rolling, 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 though the streams are swollen, keep them doggies rolling, raw.
Hey guys, it's that time where we are going to announce the winner of our contest from episode 14. So in episode 14, we did a review and release of the game Between Two Cities from Stonemeyer Games. And they were nice enough to give us a review copy, which is our first review copy, by the way. So we were really excited about that. But we've kind of decided as a group that since there's 4 of us, it doesn't make sense for one of us to keep it. So we thought anytime we get a review copy, we're just going to go ahead and release it into the wild, give it to one of you guys. And all you had to do all you had to do is go to episode 14 and comment and subscribe, of course, to enter the drawing. So today we have a few entries and we are going to randomize it with our friend, our producer, Randy at the helm. And he's going to hit this little start button and it is going to give us,
Are we going to do a
wait.
final 4?
that's right. We're going
Yes.
to pick 4 people to intensify the anticipation. We're going to do a top 4. And then from the top 4, we're going to pick 1. All right.
Are
We're
we
going to do our
ready?
first one now?
Let's see who the lucky 4 are.
Here we go.
Joe
Hey!
Coleman.
Go
Okay.
Coleman.
All
There you
right.
go.
He's from our game group.
Tommy Boy
Tommy
44.
Boy 44.
Ooh. Is he the Tommy Boy?
I think it's Adam Sandler.
Thane
Woods.
Woods. Not Thanos.
Not Thanos.
And our last one,
Last one of the 4.
Snowdrop Dreamer.
No drop.
No
Dreamer.
Dreamer.
There you
Okay.
Could
go.
be anybody.
That's
think
their
it's
given
their real
birth
name.
name.
That's right.
I mean, it sounds like a good Christian name.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Snowdrop Dreamer, Thane Woods, Joe Coleman, and who else?
Tommy Boy 44.
Okay, it's
All
between
right.
them, and this is going to be the last one, right?
Correct.
Yes.
This is it. This is it.
One of you four will soon be a winner.
All right. Hey, before we give this away, let's do a quick 10-second recap of what we thought of it. John, what do you think of Between
wow.
Two Cities?
I'm surprised
10
I am to be
seconds.
called upon. I liked it well enough that I bought my own copy because this is not the one we're giving away. This is one that I have purchased on my own and already played like 3 times since we've done it. And yeah, going into it, had no good expectations of it. Didn't intrigue me at all. So don't let that get in the way of you when you're looking for a game, because it was a lot of fun. I think we had talked about it before, though. I would only play it at the higher player counts. I'm seeing the reason to play it at low player counts, but
Yeah.
at higher player counts, it's a blast. It's a good game.
All right. Chris, what's your 10-second recap?
Yeah, fantastic. Again, not many games that have a high player count that actually work, like John said. So I loved it, and honestly, I liked it enough. Like I played it twice now, and both times great. And I actually really want to try to play it with a small player count and just see how that draft and the tiles get back to you, how that changes things. So,
Yeah, like a
it's
3-player
great.
game.
That's
That
true.
does seem a little intriguing.
Right.
That would be wild.
All right, Andy, what about you?
Random tile placement has a cooperative element. It sucks. No, it's okay. It's not bad, but I would much rather play Seven Wonders, or I would much rather play Warsaw.
Got it. Yeah, Warsaw was good. No, I really, me personally, I liked it. It exceeded my expectation. I expected almost nothing from it, but it was a good game. We played it again in the past week or so, or maybe 2 weeks, and it stayed solid. It was still a fun experience, and it's really fun to yell at your partner when they make an obvious error. Like, oh, what was Chris's again? He goes, Daniel, I'm going to give this tile to my opponent because he needs more help. And we're like, okay. And at the end, we counted it. We're like, hey, Chris, how much points did that give you? He's like, 1. And that was the lowest city of the entire game. So we're glad you're helping your partner.
but I was right that it was the lowest and it needed the most help. So
Yeah.
By the way,
you're right.
I'd like to point out right now that I'm the only one that kept my 10-second review to
Good job.
10
Yes,
seconds.
You did.
that's not true.
Well,
Mine
good
was 10
job.
seconds.
You want a cookie?
I do.
One thing I do want to add is we did
Chocolate chip.
we actually just played this last night at 6 players, and every city scored between 68 and 74 points. It was quite the
That's good.
Nice.
quite the
Yeah.
competition
I
there.
think Chris's city was like at the 40s. So
No, it wasn't. It was 66.
sure, we'll say that. All right. Well, Randy, I think we're getting a nod that he is ready. So let's see out of the
All right.
final 4.
Here
Who
we go.
is it
Let's
gonna
see who it
be?
is.
Thane
Thane
Woods.
Woods. Congratulations, Thane. You win.
It was 62.
Thanks, guys.
And that's why, children, you should always log your games. To
Why
That's
you love
right.
your friends right there.
When someone tries to trash you, you can be like, no.
Yep, here it is. That's proof.
All right. Well, Thane, hey, we'll reach out to you. We actually kind of know who you are, so we'll reach out to you. But congratulations and thanks, guys. So remember, we'll be doing these periodically throughout the year. And if you want to be a part of our next one, just subscribe now, and then you don't have to worry about that step. And all you would have
Nope,
to do
just
is
comment.
comment. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, until next time, happy trails.
Happy trails to you.
Didn't we do that as an ending
until
once?
we meet again.
Wow.
Hey, well, congratulations to Thane Woods. We're glad that you commented. Glad you subscribed. We appreciate it. But hey, I just realized that at the commercial break, I threw my hat like random task. But didn't he throw his shoe?
Correct.
That was random
Yes.
task, yeah.
Oh.
Odd Job through his hat
Yes.
Oh, okay. Who's Odd Job?
from the James Bond movies.
Yes.
Ow, that thing. Okay.
But
Right.
throwing the shoe was not just random task. I believe that was also a reporter who threw a shoe at President Bush.
Do
Do you remember that?
I do remember
Sounds
that.
familiar.
Called him an
Yeah.
infidel. I think that's an insult in the that Islamic world.
Yeah.
So there
I
you
think
go.
you're
Bush
thinking
was
The
a
Odd
really
Job
good-
from GoldenEye being OP, which they actually just re-released and have available.
did.
again
I'm gonna
on,
get that.
Xbox and
Yes.
Nintendo Switch.
I'm
So,
getting that.
Yeah, I
deal.
really love that he was so small, so it's really hard to shoot him.
Yes, it's hard to shoot him. Exactly.
But he took
What?
more headshots.
Yeah,
So
true.
that was the trade-off.
Yeah.
That
It was
the
still
trade-off.
it was still against our house rules to play Odd Job. You couldn't do that.
But if you were a beast, if you wanted to flex on people, you play Jaws and be like, "Come at me, bro! I'm huge," and you still can't.
Yeah, there you go.
Odd job in the facility.
That's
That
right.
was the ultimate cheat.
Guard the
Ooh.
bathroom.
All
That's
right.
Anyway, with all that said, I think it's time to get back to why the folks are here, wouldn't you say?
So
It's game time.
You want to play games? All right. I'll
Take a
play.
nap now.
Shall we play a game?
Randy's the referee?
Oh, you mad, bro?
All right. Well, let's get back to it with a fun little game that I'm going to host now, a little segment we're going to debate, and I think this is near and dear to my heart, and you guys will appreciate this, and that is the subject of board gaming and turn length. Turn length. It is a divisive topic. I maintain, as one who is prone to analysis paralysis, that it is acceptable to take a lengthy turn if it is a well thought out turn and it means that you end up winning the game. I have many times been known to take a long time and come out on top, and I feel like it's justified in that situation. It comes to mind, we played a 6-player game of Keyflower once that lasted like 3.5 hours or something, but I won the game, so I felt completely justified in doing that. Others will argue that it is really freaking annoying to play with someone who has AP, and I get that because it's funny. Despite the fact that I do suffer from AP, when I see it in others, sometimes I'm really annoyed too. So it's really, really hypocritical of me. I will say that one of the things about AP and player length turn is that if there's an agreed upon method to enforce it, I'm all for it. I played in a tournament, for instance. I played in the Carcassonne North American National Championship at Gen Con a couple of times, and they enforce a chess timer. So each person has 15 minutes on their chess timer. The game will take 30 minutes exactly. And I will say it made it very good. It made it really tense and good, and you had to make your decision, and you knew you had this much time or that much time, and so you just went with it. And so the rules were fair. I think what happens, though, sometimes is there is AP, and then there's also sometimes perceived AP, and that is because some people, I don't know, it just seems like they should know what they're doing, and maybe because you assume they should know what they're doing, you think they're taking longer than they are. I don't know. I'm not annoyed. I'm pretty forgiving usually with it. There's been a few times where it's been an issue, but I think the big thing is to agree upon a standard when you're playing games. If you're going to take a certain amount of time or allow a certain amount of time, go for it. Maybe you set a 5-minute clock. Maybe you just don't set a clock and you just play and have fun. But what do you guys think? Daniel, let's go to you. What's your opinion on player turn length?
All right. Well, I do want to do a couple of responses to yours. One, the Keyflower game that took 3.5 hours is where Andy time comes from. We literally timed it because his turns were taking so long. It took 5 people 1.5 minutes to take his turn, and it took Andy 3.5 minutes. So Andy time is literally double the amount of time an entire game takes. So if we ever refer to Andy time, that's what we're referring to.
But I did win.
And it was not worth it. So
it was to me
at the expense of all of us. So yeah, player length time is pretty touchy with me. I'm someone who I take quick and concise actions. I know what I'm going to do before I do it, because if I don't, I will forget. Now, Chris's response there, he is right. I will take a little bit of time when it's needed every now and then, but I also acknowledge that it's taking a while, and I will almost tell the table, like, hey, make me hurry up or tell me to make a decision, because I think it is it's just kind of selfish to take these excessively long turns every single time. And my default, dude, no, Andy, this is my default to Andy every time he takes a long time. I always tell him, if I took 10 minutes a turn in a game that should only take 30 seconds, I would win too, because I would make you forget your actions. I would make you hate the game. I would make you just want to get this over with. So yes, if I filibustered this game, I could win as well. So you do need to hurry up your turn. And I am a strong believer in invoking that chess timer. And I want to do it to where you get like an appropriate amount of points if you are the one who took the least amount of time, because I think there's something to that. So
first of all, Daniel, it's 10 minutes is an exaggeration.
no, it's not. That's my. But yes, you exaggerate to make a point. It's called hyperbole. But if I did take 10 minutes a turn, I would win.
No,
So
I'm suggesting
you're
suggesting that I take 10 minutes a turn. I do not take 10 minutes a turn.
So
And by the way,
time, he's more wins.
My point is, the longer you take, the more probability you'll win. Because if I took 10 minutes, you too would stop caring and just want the game to be
it's
over.
a war of attrition, buddy.
That's not supposed to be.
It's a war of attrition. There's a lot of mental head games that go into the board gaming.
I think every time you play a board game, it's a mental head game. Anytime Andy plays with you, you just got to outlast him, and it's hard.
Anytime you play a game with me, somebody is mentally ill.
There you go. That's not untrue. All
John,
right.
what do you have to say?
Thank you. Well, I had a lot of things I've got written down here to say, because there's many different things that contribute to long turn length. And actually, AP is not one of the ones that bothers me the most. It does bother me. It doesn't bother me the most. AP is at least someone who isn't distracted. Distracted bothers me. People that are there and they have their phone sitting right next to them and they're looking at their phone in between every turn. Gets to their turn. I've had people do this before. We're like, oh, it's my turn. They roll dice. Why are you rolling dice? You don't even roll dice. It's like those dice were set to where they're supposed to be set. Why did you pick them up and roll it? They're so disconnected from the game we're playing. They don't even remember what's going on. So unnecessary things like that. It's just very rude to the people that you're playing with. I'm going to call out the people on this show. Daniel, yes, you like to make quick turns. Does that include the times you go back and redo your turn 3 times? No, it does not.
That's the reason I was doing this.
That's why I was doing
time once in a while. It's because he plays on other people's turns.
Yes. And then Andy, it's not just the AP, it's also the distracted playing that happens with Andy. And as an example, with both he and Chris, when we were trying to play The Hunger, as you'll recall, we reviewed The Hunger a while back. This is a game that should take an hour, maybe an hour and even 15 minutes with a teacher, is the way it happened when I taught 3 other people the game. But when you're in between turns, stepping away from the table, watching a football game, and then, oh, is it my turn? Oh, let me deal my cards and start thinking about what I can do on my turn. That's not how you play a game. You deal your cards, you're ready for your turn. When it's your turn, and you're like, okay, now I'm going to play. That's how you play a game. No,
it would have been a lot easier if the football game wasn't tinted blue.
That was distracting.
That's an inside joke, but John's TV is like, I don't know what's going on with it, but we're all like,
fixed
dude,
the settings since. I've fixed the settings since.
Yeah, sure you have.
But anyway, so a bad picture distracts Andy. Now we know. But so game turn length that's legitimate, even if it's AP, doesn't bother me as much. I have a friend of mine that is, he's got to go over what everybody did every turn leading up to his. Okay, you did that, and so you're plugging it. He'll say it out loud to himself, and then he'll take his turn. He just has to do that. I don't think there's anything you can do to speed him up. But the distracted, the on the phone, the not paying attention to talking to other people, that's the kind of things that's rude and shouldn't be done, in my opinion. Thank you.
All right. So first of all, a couple of things. I will respond to, since I got Daniel's thing fixed on John's, I don't have to talk about that now. But I do have to say, I defended myself with The Hunger. The reason the game was distracting is because the game wasn't interesting. It didn't keep my interest, and I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'll watch this game now that I've done my little thing. So that was not interesting. Also, I will say that, like, I know we're bagging on Andy here, crazy for Andy time. I'm well and full aware that I'm probably the second most detractor of taking a long time. Like,
second most attractive? Is that what you said?
Well, no, I'm first most attractive.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, you're not giving yourself credit.
Exactly. I appreciate it. But so I do take some time, and I hate it. I'm self-aware on it, but I don't know. Like, man, and this is just how I feel as a whole. There are exceptions to the rule, obviously, but just take the time that you need to do it right and have a good time. Right now, what is that number? Right? If you're not having a good time because someone is taking an obscene amount of time, I understand that. Right? And Andy, yes, it only matters to you if it was worth it if you win. It's still a loss for everyone else, even if you win and you took all that time. So it doesn't matter.
I'm sure someone out there exists that feels the same way I do.
Yes,
cool.
And they would not play together with you.
I'm glad that one other person out of just the sheer number of people on Earth agree with you.
Yes.
Good job on you for math. That's all I got, though, Dandy.
I hear what you're saying, and I try not to, but So here's the other thing that's interesting, guys, is one of the reasons we play board games is not to just play the board game, it's to experience a social environment, correct? So
I thought it was to win the game.
You play to win the game. Yeah, there is that. But, I understand what you're saying, and it can be rude to be distracted, but it also is part of the experience to joke around and be social. And I know sometimes that irks people more than others. And maybe that's just kind of knowing who you're playing with and knowing the crowd you're going into and knowing the type of game you're going into. If you're playing a heavy Euro game that doesn't have much interaction, yeah, it's going to be hard to socialize there. But if you're playing a game that's got some interaction and stuff, you kind of expect that and go into it. I don't know. I can respect both sides of it.
Yeah, but and real quick, sorry, I just want to jump in here. Yeah, Andy, I agree with you. Like it's kind of almost like a parallel to role playing, in the fact that like there's this phrase that's used, that's a marquee phrase of playing a tabletop role playing game, of every table is different, and that's because every player is different. And so like, yeah, if you have a play group where everyone's just like, I'm just here to blow off some steam on the weekend with my buddies because it was it was a rough week of work, and a game that's supposed to take an hour, we took 4 hours because we just relaxed and had fun. Like, then that works for your play group, right? But it depends on the expectations of the other players, which is part of the reason that's a problem that you play with, people in public, because you don't have your normal play group and you're having to deal with, whatever their expectations are. So.
Yeah, but okay, so two things. I think John was correct. It matters how you're taking a long turn. If you're taking a long turn because you're thinking about your turn, that's fine. If it's because you're constantly distracted, that's the problem. Now, if you're playing a game that lends to the casualness, like recently we played a game of code names, and there was a lot of talking in between turns because there was a lot of analysis paralysis by the clue giver. So we just sat there. Yes, you and Randy, you guys were horrible. Okay, no. Yeah. So, that type of conversation is fine. But when you're playing a heavy Euro game, you can't be distracted constantly and then taking extra long turns, because those complicated, you're investing a lot of time and a lot of energy into there, and you need to keep your thoughts about the game consistent. So just because Andy likes to come and talk about everything under the moon when you're playing, I don't know, terraforming Mars, I like to be focused and be like, okay, I need to do this, this, and this on my turn. And if it takes 10 minutes to get back to me, I might forget. And it's not fair. So it depends on what game it is. If it's a casual game, fun game, yeah, be distracted, have fun. But if it's a serious game, like a Euro, you got to stay focused, man.
I think what we're learning here, this is a great exercise in expressing what our needs are, what our feelings are, and what we as a people need to do to be in harmony and coexist. So next time you play board games and you gather around, tell everyone, I need this from you, I need that from you, and I will promptly ignore it.
Well, let's get our yoga mats out too.
But what you need from me is this right here.
What is
it's
that?
The best component in a game. It's from Snow Tales. It is the pause token. This game literally says in the rules, this component is supposed to be given to the slowest player, and feel free to take it out of the game and use it in every game you own.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
So do you lose points for having it, or is it just
it's passive aggressive,
rubbing their nose in it? Okay.
It's just it's all for trolling. It's trolling purposes.
I actually made a longest turn thing for Catan. Longest road and biggest army was longest turn minus longest 2 points, and you'd hand it to the person that made the longest turn, and then it'd keep passing around.
I think I might invest in getting some chess timers.
I support this for you.
Wow.
That's and by the way,
that's like joining AA.
I admit I have a problem. My name is Andy, and I suffer from AP. I'm a recovering analysis paralysis. Right. I will say though one more thing real fast, and that is, I know you don't like distraction, but some of us actually really do have ADHD, and we can't help it completely.
Fair.
There you go.
Are you covering your mouth because you're laughing at me and you don't want me to see it?
No, it's because I'm yelling at my dog.
Oh my gosh.
I think he's like bull crap, Andy. Bull crap.
Hey, Andy, better than a chess timer.
Oh, that wasn't muted.
You could do what we did over at Daniel's house, where before we sat down to play Great Western Trail, Ryan, one of the guys we're playing with, said, "Hey, after this, we're going to play Godfather," and it was getting kind of late. I'm like, my turn's going to go quick now. Godfather's like my favorite game. Okay, your turn. Go. So
There you go.
That's one way to do it.
It's true.
Well, let us know in the comments below how you have dealt with players and their turn lengths, or if you're a long turn offender yourself. And once again, we always appreciate those likes and subscribes.
Yes.
Round 4, fight!
All right, boys, it's time for another play shelf trade. Woo! All right, and as one might expect, today it's a Western theme. So we have 3 great games here, in my opinion. It's going to be tough to choose on. We have Pioneer Days, Colt Express, and Flick 'em Up. All right, so man, I think this is one of the tougher ones for me. I've not actually played Pioneer Days myself, but I've read it a lot, and man, it sounds pretty great. I like the idea of how you roll kind of like the dice, and you have to and everyone kind of drafts them, and then the one that's not used determines, like, some bad things that will happen from turn to turn. It kind of gives some value to both not only being first in the round but also last. So that seems pretty cool. Colt Express, man, that's a cool game for, light kind of like party type game, but the way the mechanism works with playing your cards and not knowing exactly what's going to happen and everything like that, it adds a lot of hilarity. There's not a whole lot of strategy, so to speak, but it's a real fun, kind of a party aspect plus, I guess, best way to describe it. And I like it a lot. Flick 'em Up, man, I've not played that one either. I've always been intrigued by it because it's got the kind of disc flicking, like a crokinole or something of that nature, except there's some more things going on here. Good night, man. This is going to be a tough one for me. I'm going to go with, I guess I'm going to put Colt Express on the shelf because that's just a great mainstay, kind of like I said, a party plus type game. I enjoy it. I recently got it used for $9. Yeah.
Nice.
And that actually seems on brand because I paid $9 for it now, and that, like, if you paid $9 for it back in the old days, then it'd be like you're buying like a Kickstarter. So
it's true
with the way inflation's come out.
Yes.
But anyways, and then I'm gonna go with, man, Flick 'em Up is always intrigued me, but I've never actually got to the table. So I think I need to go with Pioneer Days because apparently Flick 'em Up hasn't flipped my lid enough to actually get it played. And I really like the idea of just the way that game sounds and seems kind of a midweight, all these kind of midweight or family. And I'm gonna go Pioneer Days that as my play, and then Flick 'em Up. I'm sorry, I guess I'm trading you away because I don't know, I haven't cared enough to get you to the table yet. So Andy, what you got?
So you do own Flick 'em Up?
Oh no, I don't own it, but I'm just saying I haven't like seeked it out. I haven't been like, who's got it? Let's get it played,
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, so let me tell you mine. First of all, play. I'm going to go with Flick 'em Up to play. I played it once, and it wasn't bad. And normally, you might not. I'm a pretty. I don't know if I'd call myself a hardcore board gamer, but I'm pretty into thinky games. So you might think it's strange that I picked the dexterity game to play, but I do love me some crokinole, and Flick 'em Up basically sounds like a crokinole RPG set in the Old West, so to speak, or just thematic crokinole. And so I'm gonna play Flick 'em Up. Flick 'em Up. Flick 'em Up's a different game. It's all about fattening yourself up to send your. Anyway, never mind.
Doesn't all board games do that? Is that just like part of being a board gamer? Is Flick 'em Up?
We might have just found our next parody, by the way.
Yeah, that's fair.
Stand by for that one next week. Anyway,
Mike Tyson presents Flick 'em Up.
No, Flick 'em Up. I want to get that to the table again and play that. I think that'd be fun. As far as shelf, I got to put Pioneer Days on the shelf and keep it in my collection because it is a fantastic game. John first introduced it to me, and I love it. I love it. It's a great game. TMG game, which I guess is it out of print now because TMG's not doing stuff, I suppose. So, if you can find a copy, though, it's fantastic. The one I'm going to send away, though, I'm going to trade away Colt Express. I've wanted to like it. I've wanted to give it a shot. shot. I've tried, and it seems like it would be fun. But for whatever it is, these games that are pre-programmable like that, Volt is another one, and there's others. They just don't do it for me. I don't know why. I've never had that much fun with it. It feels way too random. It doesn't really feel thinky. You'd think it'd be kind of like, you're doing this whole guessing what your partner's going to do, but it just feels too complex to be just a straight game where you're bluffing against people, and it's just too random for me. So Colt Express, I will unfortunately trade away, despite the fact that I know it's well received by many.
So Andy, you said Flick 'em Up sounds like a role-playing Crocodile, which it's
Yes.
not. But I was
Dramatic.
thinking that would be pretty cool. I think we need to like there's that role-playing game Dread where it's a Jenga tower. Someone needs to get on using Flick 'em Up Crocodile mechanics to do a role-playing game. I'd be all aboard on that.
That's
That's
fair.
a shame.
It could be
That's
done.
fair.
So, all right. So mine are, so I hate this list. I'm just going to throw it out there. Not a fan of Colt Express. Flick 'em
Only
Up
trade
is
one.
fine. And Pioneer Days, they keep saying I've played it before. I don't think I have, and I don't really want to. It looks
Wow.
fine. TMG makes good games, but so this is hard for me, but in a different way. So I'm gonna go with my shelf would be, I suppose, Pioneer Days. It's the only one that I haven't owned at some point and gotten rid of. So that's the one that will at least stay on my shelf. And it's a Euro which is what I would prefer. So I'll go with that. The play out of those two is going to have to be Flick 'em Up. I'm okay with Flick 'em Up. I'll play those. Crocodile's fine. Flick 'em Up is good. And it fits the right moment, especially if I can get my kids into it. That'd be a really fun game to play. But a serious game night, never going to play it, but I'll play it in the right situation. And the one that's getting out here is Colt Express. These guys know I hate these kind of games. I do not like push your luck mechanics, things that you're like, oh, I think Chris is giving me a look. Says, I like getting inside your head. I think you're going to do this, so I'm going to play this, which is kind of what this game is. But the problem is there's so many factors where you're playing things upside down and you don't know it. And it's just every time I played this game, when I owned it, it fell so flat. It was one of these games I wanted to like, but literally I couldn't get anybody that I played it to enjoy it. And after enough plays of that, you're just like, this game's not worth it. It's not worth my time. It's not worth their time. So it's out of there. I no longer enjoy it. So it's my trade.
I think now would be a very appropriate time to tell everyone that the very first game that Daniel gifted me was Colt Express.
Oh, really?
So that really says something about how much he likes me.
Yep. Take that, mister.
So
That's
I don't
weird. Did I give you
understand-
my copy?
You may have, but you're like, oh, you're going to love it. I'm like, really? Okay.
Well, that was in the early days when I didn't really know board game and I bought whatever Tom Vassell told me to. So I've grown.
We had to get a board game Jesus mention.
Got to.
I've grown more as a gamer. So I've regretted a lot. Since we're on that topic, I do got to say the one game that finally broke me of Tom Vassell love and just doing whatever he says was Batman Gotham City. Not the big Kickstarter one, but the small little one. He loved this game. He said it was great. The game ends when the deck is emptied twice. It's the weirdest game ending. Anyways, and it's essentially Munchkin, but on a board.
Gotcha.
Anyways, that was a tangent.
So honestly, Daniel, like you were like, oh, I know you're looking at me, Chris, but it's this other thing. Everything you said after that was everything I feel about it. Either you're in trying to figure out, you're like, oh, well, but yeah, you can't get in their head because it's this and this. That's the reason I don't care about what else other people are doing, because there's way too much to consider. Just do your own thing.
I guess. I guess you're right in that my explanation was bad, but
No, I think you're right on point, actually, Daniel. And my big problem with those type of games where you're trying to bluff people or guess what your opponent's going to do, they have to be fairly simple. If they're too complex, then it's just random at that point.
Yes, and
but
there's
Colt
too many
Express
factors.
is simple. It is.
No.
It's just like,
Okay, bring it to me. You guys are done. You guys
All
are
right,
done.
John, what do you
It's my
got?
turn. Shut up, all of you.
That's right. You haven't gone. yet,
Knock your
John.
heads
Sorry.
together. Crying out loud. Okay. These, I had mentioned before, that Western themed games are something that appeals to my heart. It's something that always intrigues me. And for that reason, I do own 2 of these games. And we're going to go ahead and go through those. My play is going to be Pioneer Days. It's an amazing game. Like Andy has mentioned before, the dice drafting element, the crunchy decisions you have to make on your turn, the different things that you can do to manipulate the dice, manipulate what the dice do when you get them. They can actually manipulate what they actually do when you take them. So there's a lot of decisions to be made in that game. And there's a lot of really crunchy decisions because you might not have a chance to do it again or whatever. The rounds are so short, and then all the different decisions affect everyone. So it's really cool. You can do a lot of take that if that's what you're trying to do, or you can do a lot of building your herd. There's a lot of different ways you can win. It's such a cool game. And then Colt Express. So that's my play. Colt Express is going to stay on my shelf because it is a simple game. And with the expansions, I can play 7 people. We can sit around the table and have a blast. And it takes like 40 minutes total. And I've got the mat, I've got all the fun stuff that makes it look really cool. I've got the little printed meeples. And it's easy to tell what people are going to try to do. Oh, he's probably going to pick up the treasure that's there. I'm going to go shoot him, whatever. You see what's in your deck and you try to do it. If it works out, it works out. If it doesn't work out, it's a 40-minute game. You're having fun. It's just a fun time. So it's just barely this side of a party game. You get that many people going and you have a little chaos, throw that in. It's a good time. Flick 'em Up is a game that has always intrigued me, but kind of like what Chris said, I've seen it to buy. I've seen it to trade. I've seen it do many things, and I never have pulled the trigger on it. There's something about it. Hey, pull the trigger. That's even thematic. Oh. And so how about that? And so that's going to have to be my trade because I haven't picked it up so far. I'm probably not going to do it from now on, but those other two are, that's my play. That's my shelf. And so live with it. Eat that, Daniel. Take that, buddy.
Oh, I'll live with it. But I do think all of these need to be traded.
Yeah.
You haven't even played Pioneer Days. You really have to give it a shot.
That's why you're a dude and not a cowboy.
That's right.
Pioneer Days is a good game.
I pulled this off. So this guy on Great Western Trail, that's who
you.
I am. Yep. Don't you see the resemblance?
Yep.
So,
that looks like me though, with the old man face.
Yeah.
Speaking of me, well, it's time for me to wrap up the segment. So if you let us know what you think your play shelf trade is, and come in on with us and say you can't decide on any of them because Daniel's wrong and wants to trade them all of them. So put that in the comments, and always like, share, and subscribe.
There you go. What's the tally here? Who won anyway?
That's true.
It's time to announce a winner. Well, Daniel hates that I use the drum rolls so much, but I love the drum roll. It's my favorite. Mr. John Teisman with 12 points takes the cake.
How about that? Tarnation, what is going on around here?
I think Randy likes John. He wins a lot.
We must be like-minded. We're mind melding. I think it's because I don't kiss up like everybody else does. That might be it too.
Gloomhaven got no points. I'm still mad.
I knew that's why you did it. See,
I think it's because I told Randy I'm basically never playing Axis and Allies ever again.
See there?
So, John, what are you going to talk about? What do you got? 2 minutes or whatever to tell us whatever.
It'll be fairly short. I'm waiting for the camera to get on me, Mr. DeMille, as Andy likes to say. There we go. All right. As you recall, last time I talked about Marvel movies
for 10 minutes.
So Andy's already shaking his head. This is going to be quick because something happened to me over the last couple of weeks. It was like a revelation. Okay. It was a rebirth. And how many of you guys out there are Star Wars fans? Have you watched all the Star Wars? Have you watched all the new Star Wars? Have you watched all the old Star Wars? Well, while Rogue One is still my favorite Star Wars movie, I recently, through the pestering of my youngest son, watched episodes 7, 8, and 9, which I'd only seen part of 7. I don't think I'd ever watched all of them. And I don't see why these get the hate that they do, because to me, that is the best trilogy of all of them from 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3 is terrible. 1 especially. Oh my word. Can we have more annoying characters in that movie? But 1, 2, and 3 are just bad. They are either boring or annoying. They go from boring to annoying and then back to boring. 4, 5, and 6 are just a little dated. They're really good movies, but they're a little dated. And I hate that you can't get the original version of them anymore with all the CGI that's been added in over the years. Why can't, even on Disney Plus, why don't we have the option of, let's see how it was released in theaters? Because George Lucas is a weirdo and he's like, no, this is the way I envisioned it. I want everyone to see it this way. So you have the bad CGI instead of so you have the bad CGI instead of the, old time graphics. So I wish you could see that. But 7, 8, 9, especially going in with low expectations, it blew me away. The story was good. The powers that these people had were fun to watch. And so that's my thing. Give 7, 8, and 9 a chance, people. Don't listen to all the bad hype. That's what I got on that. See, it's going to be quick this time.
John, what I took away from that is you're not an actual Star Wars fans, because no Star Wars fans like any of the Star Wars.
That's true.
They
They're always
like
unhappy.
they like episode 4 and like maybe 6, maybe
Yeah.
if you twist their arm, and then
Yeah.
they hate everything else. But they're
That's
like, but I
true.
love Star Wars.
Yeah, I love Star
had-
Wars, but all the movies are terrible and the new
Yeah.
characters are awful. Yeah.
John, when you started talking, I had so much respect for you. It was all the way up here, and then it went quickly down here.
You are
Because Rogue
such a
One-
liar.
Rogue
You're
One
such a liar.
is a
Your respect
great
was
movie.
low to start with. What's that?
Rogue One is a great movie.
I
And
said it's
actually
still
think-
the best one.
I think actually Solo is a really great movie too.
I haven't seen
but,
that yet.
But you need to see Solo. But 7, 8, and 9,
They're good.
So
7 is
I-
just a rehash of 4, and then 8 and 9 are weird.
Well, there's
Yeah.
things that happened in 7 that I was not liking until later on. I'm like, oh well. As a spoiler here, Rey is, you find out, Palpatine's granddaughter. I'm like,
Oh,
no
don't
wonder
say that.
No wonder
People
she's
have
got.
only
I said
Had
spoilers.
5 years to know that.
I said spoilers. That's no wonder the Force is so strong with her. So that made sense then.
Well, okay. Whoa. Hold up. This show's going to go long now. Okay. So a
we're on
couple
a
of
tangent
things.
now.
A couple things. Like it is my second favorite of the trilogies because 4, 5, and 6 is the best. Even though
That's fine.
like it's not a high bar because like the
Mhm.
story's great and
Yeah.
Darth Vader's great, but like I mean Harrison Ford turned out to be something great, but man, no one like his acting in those 3 moments were the best of everyone and by a mile, and it wasn't very good.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it's still the best of the 3. And then
Yes.
the new 3, 7, 8, 9 are the second best, and that's because 7 is the single best of all of the films.
Whoa.
Because
Wow.
it is basically number 4 2.0. It's
Yeah.
it's a New Hope 2.0 with good actors, a good cast, and it's fantastic. I'll watch
Very good.
a Force Awakens over and over and over and love it.
Hmm.
And then 1, 2, and 3 is awful unless Ewan McGregor's on
Yes,
the
yes.
screen. But
Yeah, it's terrible.
but wait.
Wait.
I did not take from the ending of 9 to be that she's Palpatine's granddaughter. I did not take that. I took it that she literally was just nobody.
I don't know where you got that.
Yeah, I don't know where you got that either.
Say it.
Really? Okay,
Yeah,
I guess
she's
I missed
Palpatine's
that part.
granddaughter.
Maybe I just had fallen asleep because it was so bad.
That was it.
Maybe
You know
I
what
missed
I
that
think,
part.
guys?
I'm like, well, no wonder she can like stop a spaceship, with her hand and all
Sure.
this
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
You know what I think? Missa think it's time to wrap up the show.
There we go.
Random voice. I like
No,
it.
that's Jar Jar Binks, baby.
Jar Jar Binks.
Oh,
What's
okay.
that?
I get you. Yeah, okay.
That's funny.
All right.
You're so dumb.
All right. That was a good.
Stupid.
That was a good last take. Do we have any birthdays to talk
We
about?
do
Daniel?
have some birthdays. We have Millennium Blades that was released in 2017. It's 6 years old. It's a really cool game that simulates a collectible card game. Not playing a collectible card game, though. There is a little bit of that, but it's collecting a collectible card game. You get to throw around wads of cash, and you open up booster packs, but you don't care what else is in there except for the rare. So you just draw the top card of the deck, and that's the rare you got. It's a great game. It's a lot of fun.
It's
Okay.
also a birthday for maybe the greatest gateway game of all time. Ticket to Ride was born on this month in 2004.
19 years old.
Yes.
It's a
19
game I
almost
love
20
to
years
hate.
old.
Well, here's the thing with Ticket to Ride, and it gets a lot of garbage on this show. But you know what? If you like Ticket to Ride, play Ticket to Ride and have fun with it. Don't listen to eggheads like us that say, "Oh, Ticket to Ride. Who likes to play Ticket to Ride?" So, and that's the way
It's a
Daniel
fun
sounds
game.
when he talks. But I can have fun with Ticket to Ride. I can have fun with people that like Ticket to Ride. I don't love it, but yeah, if you love it, go for it, man. It's your thing.
Like I have the most vitriol for that game by a long shot on this show, and I played it with my family over the holidays. Like I will
there you
play it. It's just I've moved on, if that makes sense. Like I've
Yeah.
never moved on for Catan because there's still enough there to keep me interested, but like
Yeah.
there's just not enough to keep me interested in Ticket to Ride. So
I do want to point out that the World Series of board gaming, the guy who won the championship for Ticket to Ride literally had never played it before. So he moved on from the first round. The second round, you don't get any choice in. And but he knew what he was going to play. So he played 12 times between his game that he won but when he found out he was going to win Ticket to Ride, played it 12 times, learned it well enough, and he won against
my
people who trained
Yeah.
in that game.
Ooh, I see what
There
you
you
did there.
go.
Trained. in that game.
Yeah, no pun intended.
Ooh,
Very
well
good.
played, sir.
Is there a
Speaking
new
of the World
series of games?
board gaming?
Is there
Are
a
we
new
gonna
series
try
of
and,
games? Can I talk? Is there a new series of games called 20XX? Because I saw that on the list. Was that? Is that-
No, that's for
Sorry, that was a teleprompter
inside
thing.
joke.
Yeah.
I-
Okay.
I think one of us should sign up for the World Series of board gaming.
It should be you.
It should be.
You're the expert at
Yes, attrition.
Yeah.
Attrition.
You're the expert at attrition, and you believe that board games should be played in a tournament setting that are not made for a tournament setting. Correct.
It's true.
Danny brings out all his snacks and food. All right, we're gonna play this game for a while.
That's right.
We're gonna be here a long time.
Well, partner, I want to say thank you to all our wonderful viewers out there. Remember to tap and like those subscribe buttons, and also be sure to join our Facebook group Around the Board. Send us an email to mail@aroundtheboard.net, or reach out to us on the Twitter, the Tick-Tackety-Tockety-Tick, and Instagram and anything else. Until next time, folks, I reckon we'll see you around the board.
This is the new thing to tell you if you're taking too long. Right here.
This, I still got the other hat on.
How much you got over there, partner? I'm going all
Trails to you.
What about me? You said me. I heard my name.
Meet again.
Show notes. All right, we're here with Stephanie, and she's going to go over an old play shelf trade list that we've done in a past episode. And the games she picked are Seven Wonders, Isle of Cats, and It's a Wonderful World. It's a great list. Stephanie,
well,
what is making the cut?
This is a really hard choice here because these are some great games. I think It's a Wonderful World would be the one I would play right away because it just is really sound and fun these days.
Excellent choice.
Seven Wonders, it's a classic. You can't put that away. You put that on the shelf, keep it around. It's always there. And Isle of Cats, maybe it'll just really be somebody's perfect game.
Perfect game.
Perfect game.
You know what? I would argue with you, but I think that's my exact play shelf trade that I had on our show. So,
All right.
Stephanie, you're great.
Thank you.
All right. I would not trade you. All right. All right. Thanks.